visitor in many people's homes twice a week for nearly 9 years. As Meg Richardson, she's been keeping the cart on the wheels at the Crossroads Hotel for longer than I can remember. In a couple of weeks, the television serial Crossroads notches up its 2000th edition. Tonight she's taken the night off to be with us, and she is Miss Noele Gordon. You're away from Crossroads for the night.
Yes, I am.
Have you left Amy Turtle in charge?
Yes, I have left Amy Turtle in charge, David Hunter in charge, and my son in charge.
Did you have difficulty getting off?
Oh, yes, I always do.
You're not allowed time off?
Well, very little.
Are you ever allowed to be ill at all?
Never allowed to be ill. We have a producer called Reg Watson who hails from Australia, and he's very kind, but he's very tough. And none of us are ever allowed to be ill, or have an accident, or have a fit of temperament or anything.
Now, I'm not talking about Meg. I'm not talking about you in the thing, Meg Richardson. I'm talking about you as Noele Gordon. What happens if you have a funny do?
You're not allowed to.
Well, but suppose not allowed at all.
No.
But there must. I mean, the exigencies of your health must sometimes creep over you and knock you down.
Russell, my dear, we are just not allowed to be ill. I have worked with this young Australian for many years. I won't tell you how long, because you do know I'm only 29, don't you?
At the last count.
At the last count.
Yeah.
And some years ago, we were doing a programme called Lunchbox.
Yeah.
And I was going overseas to do some interviews, and I'd had an injection in here, which had driven me lame. I had cholera, which proved to be entirely unnecessary in those days, in one arm. And
you mean you
typhoid,
had a cholera jab in one arm?
In one arm, but it was like having cholera, I can tell you. And the other arm, there was typhoid, I think, or something like that. And I just had a cyst taken out of my eye. And I went in to do Lunchbox, and I had flu as well. And I went in to do Lunchbox, and I said, Reg, I can't, because I was like a basket case. I could hardly walk, I couldn't move my arms. I was doing this all the time, and I had an eye patch on, and he put me into a chair. It's true. And I remember it well. And he sat me down in this chair, and I had this black eye patch on, and they painted the station symbol, which is an eye, our station symbol.
ATV.
ATV. They painted it in white paint onto the eye patch and used me as the identity card.
Now, talking about friends and the friends that you have, the close friends, I don't know if it's letting cats out of bags, but looking at This Is Your Life sequence, you did seem to be inordinately close to Mr. Larry Grayson at one time during that.
I'm close to Larry Grayson all the time. We correspond. I'm going to his first night very shortly in Coventry. And we are indeed very fond of each other.
Is that the end of the sentence?
I'm waiting for what you're going to say next.
I'm waiting for what you're going to say. I mean, you're just good friends.
Well, yes, because I don't think either of us have got time to be anything else, you see, because I'm sure you're going to ask me in a moment why I've never married. And it's because of lack of time.
Why have you never married?
Well, the sort of people I wanted to marry never asked me.
That's a good answer. That's a good answer. Are you, at the Crossroads, if we may revert briefly back to that, does come from time to time in for some crossfire from the critics?
From time to time? All the time.
Does that hurt you at all?
No. I mean, let's be fair, you don't like to read knocking criticism. Nobody does. People say that, it doesn't affect them. Of course it does. It depresses you when you're working very hard. But we know that 14 million people watch us 4 nights a week. And if we can please that number of people, we don't have to worry about 8 critics, do we? Yeah. Particularly when one writes, as a lady did a few weeks ago, I watch Crossroads as a duty once a year. You can't judge a serial that, has run for 2,000 performances 4 nights a week and watch it once a year and have anything to say about it, except knock it.
Now, as well as being the kind of actress lady that we know you are, you've clocked up in your 29 years a lot of activity on the television screens, haven't you? I mean,
Yes.
You've had your own chat shows and talk shows, and also you've been to foreign lands to study television.
That's right.
Did you decide that you'd do it, or did somebody say we want her out of the way to learn more about the tricks of the trade?
Well, I think it was twofold, really, Russell, because I had been touring in musicals. I had been in London and on tour with musicals. And the last one I did, which was Call Me Madam, the further south we came, and the more the television aerials flourished and the more popular television was, the smaller the audiences got. And I thought, well, if you can't beat 'em, join 'em, you know. And at that time, Sir Lou Grade was my agent. And I said to him, you know, what about this, Lou? And he said, well, if you want to go and study television, I'll back you. And you go to America and see what you can find out about television. So I did.
And you went to a university there?
In New York University.
With a little satchel and your pens and pencils and things?
Oh, no, with lovely young men down in Washington Square. Super.
Oh, really? Well, you had practical lessons?
Of course.
What conclusions did you come back with?
Well, I came back really to start off in commercial television, which really none of us knew a great deal about in those days. I came back with a healthy respect for British technical achievement. But of course, in those days, the American program content was marvellous and much, much better than ours. I don't know what it's like now, because I think everything's recorded now.
And you don't like recorded
No,
program?
I like live television.
Why?
Because I think that's the edge that television has over the other mediums.
And because probably you're an actress. I mean, not probably an actress, probably because you're an actress. And let's get these words correct.
I was taught in New York University that the thing about television was the immediacy of the medium, that television could show you things happening as they happen. You know, great to see a play in the theatre or a film in the cinema and everything's perfect. But the fun of television is to see, you know, something going wrong or somebody swearing or, you know,
Raising their...
seeing something like that.
Can we have another look at that?
I didn't have time to change them, you see, and you suddenly see something like that on live television.
And there's no garter on that.
No, it just stays up by itself. But you see, on recorded television, they can cut that out, and it's not nearly so much fun. Well,
whether it's live or recorded, you're a very live lady and got very lovely stockings. I'm most grateful to you, Noele Gordon.
Thank you.
That's all we have time for tonight, but I'll be back same time next week with a special show where my guest will be Mr. Danny Kaye. Till then, night-night.